This was a bit of a shock to me, but the Asian WCQ just happened this past weekend. Now, this was a WCQ that would bring two world's representatives, so the first and second place, and it comprised of 28 players who actually topped their respective countries' WCQs. Now, in addition to the larger Asian countries that had qualifiers like China mainland and Japan, who would bring representatives who won those events to Worlds, this was basically another chance for any Asian player to try and qualify for Worlds, as well as for the smaller Asian countries like Malaysia, Singapore, the Philippines. But the thing that really shocked me is the fact that Snake Eyes was the most represented deck at this event. And for those of you guys that are not aware, the recent July 2024 ban list in the OCG basically made it so they're playing with one Ashe, one copy of Wanted, two Bonfires, and yet the deck is still somehow one of the top decks in the format. You guys saw what happened in the Chinese mainland qualifier finals, and that was with the old ban list for OCG, where they actually had two Ashe and three Bonfires. Well, now Ashe has gone to one, Bonfire to two, but the deck is still insane enough to make the finals of the Asian WCQ. Now, again, they had 28 players in the tournament with 5 rounds of Swiss before a cut to top 8, where they would play off and the first 2 go to Worlds. And the deck breakdown for the 28 players was 9 Fiendsmith Snake Eyes at the #1 spot, 7 YUBELs, 5 Rescue Ace, 3 Tempai Dragon, 1 Voiceless Voice, 1 Runic Stun, 1 Labyrinth, and then 1 Ritual Beast. All of which culminated in a top 8 comprising of 3 YUBEL decks, 3 Rescue Ace decks, 1 single Fiendsmith Snake Eye deck. It did not have a great conversion, and 1 lone Ritual Beast deck limping into top 8 as well. Now, the thing that's really crazy about this event is the fact that the winner, Charles Liu, with his YUBEL deck, actually set a brand new record for something that's never been done before by qualifying for the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship representing 2 separate countries. So in 2019, he was actually living in Australia and won the Oceanic WCQ with Salomon Great, and he actually represented Worlds for Australia at the time. But over COVID, he actually moved back to Malaysia, and now 5 years later, representing Malaysia and winning the Asian WCQ, he's actually gonna go represent Malaysia at the World Championship. So this is nuts. He was representing Australia, and now he's representing Malaysia. This is really cool. The fact that you can just do this, you know, if you're just relocating between locations, is just awesome. What was also interesting is that the player he beat in second place was none other than Chia Ching Wang, the world champion of Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2018, and also the second place finisher at the 2019 World Championships when he was asked to return to defend his title. So these two players duked it off in the finals, and I really wanted to go through the replay because I thought it was super interesting. It was a very close game between YUBEL and Fiendsmith Snake Eyes, demonstrating how powerful Fiendsmith stuff is, as well as the Snake Eyes still, despite getting hit a million different times across different ban lists. So guys, this is the finals of the Asian WCQ that happened this weekend, and it's actually between 2 very well-known duelists, Charles Liu on the left, who actually went to Worlds in 2019, again for Australia. He was the Oceanic champion in 2019, and he's facing off against the 2018 world champion, Chia Ching Wang, who was also second place at the World Championship in 2019, who's playing Fiendsmith Snake Eyes, Charles Liu on the left playing YUBEL. So we're going to see Chia start off with normal summon Poplar, adding Original, then going off to the Link Rebo, bringing back the Poplar, and then activating Original, standard combo, and gets hit with a Max C, which resolves. No called by, no crossout, no Ash Blossom. Nope, we're just going to see this Max C actually resolve and going to get a free draw while stopping Chia from playing. Ash is going to come out, and I imagine Ash is just going to probably search follow-up here, and there's not much of a board you can really make. Like, you go into SP here and then get another draw for your opponent, but at least you have Disruption. But we will see the Oak get added to hand, and then that will be, it looks like a pass here. So they're just going to pass on basically a weak nothing board that could have been just huge. And the Maxi actually comes down. So yeah, Maxi kind of counters Maxi on its own, but not when your opponent has Ashe, an Asian English Starlight Rare Ashe to boot. We're going to see a Samsara D Lotus come down. And yeah, that Ashe is just huge on the Maxi because I guess Chia's plan was to defend himself with the Maxi so he gets to play another turn and then start playing with the Oak. But unfortunately, the Ash Blossom says no to that. So the power of Maxi being displayed first and foremost in this first game. We're going to see the Spirit of YUBEL set the Nightmare Pain, and then the YUBEL Terra Incarnate plus the Engraved Samsara D Lotus being shuffled back to make Phantom. Now we're going to trigger Nightmare Pain to blow up the Spirit of YUBEL, and then add a copy of Gruesome Graveskirmer. Now trigger the Engrave Effect of Spirit, which is not once per turn for whatever reason. I don't know why, but YUBEL comes to the table. And Gruesome Graveskirmer, like, the thing with YUBEL is you snowball so much. If you're not under Maxi, you just get to play so much because a lot of effects are just not once per turn. So Gruesome Graveskirmer pops the YUBEL on field, brings itself out as a body. We get a free body off of YUBEL's Grave Effect to summon out Terra Incarnate that we shuffled back previously. now we can start link climbing and going off into our Unchained plays. So typical combo for YUBELs is going into Unchained Lord of Yama, the Soul of Yama, because you can add the Red Dog, Shavara, who allows you to pop and then trigger the effect of YUBEL over and over. So it's just like a huge cycle to link climb, much like how Snake Eyes does, but you know, with these Fiend guys to do the link climbing for the link spamming. So now we're going to use Shavara to pop the Spirit again. Spirit can bring out that same YUBEL from the graveyard. Gruesome Gravescrimmer is also triggered to bring back that Spirit. So you can see how like one card can multiple bodies. Now we go into Moon, into Requiem. You guys know what's coming. The Fiendsmith stuff that's about to plague the TCG for the next couple of months. I hope it's, you know, shorter than longer, because this engine is disgusting. Like, we just saw Requiem be equipped to the Fiendsmith, who then popped the Ash for free because it has an onboard effect to pop. And now we're going to see the Sequence come out. Sequence is going to use the effect to shuffle back 2 Light Fiends to summon out a Fiendsmith Lacrima, which can then bring back the Fiendsmith from the graveyard. So just insane that Sequence gives you automatically 4 link bodies on the field off of basically, you know, just the 2 cards. Now we're going to see that same Fiendsmith and Graveyard get added back to the hand, be pitched for a Fiendsmith Tractus, and then Tractus is going to be activated, discard Luri, add discard Luri. Luri brings itself back, mandatory effect. Just really, really crazy how disgustingly powerful YUBEL is in the OCG, because nothing got hit in the deck as of yet. So they're basically full power, but it's even more surprising to see that Fiendsmith Snake Eye is even more represented. Like, players are just thinking, hey, Fiendsmith Snake Eyes is just still the better deck, potentially, despite having those hits. You know, the 2 Bonfires, the 1 Ash, the 1 Wanted. Now we're going to see a second Phantom YUBEL hit the board. This is one thing that's really important to know, is that it's not much of a return to summon out Phantom of YUBEL, so you can literally use the copies to summon out more as bodies to link climb. In this case, we see a Chaos Angel coming down, because 9 plus Lure being 1, and that's just extra damage, and that's just game 1. So that huge 3,500 attack from Chaos Angel, being able to swing past the Link Revo and just deal damage for game. Chia didn't have any other hand traps other than the Max C, and honestly, I think Max C was a deciding factor in that game. The fact that Charles was able to resolve the Max C, and then, boom, the game is just over, right? Because you can't pass on anything in Snake Eyes when you get Max Seed, which is just mind-blowing how powerful that card is. All right, players shuffled up for game 2, so we see Chia start, and I actually just saw a Skill Drain Ash in the hand, but we're going to start out probably with a draw phase Wanted, Asian English as well. That's really cool. I love these Asian English cards. So we're going to add Black Witch, the 1 copy of Wanted, by the way. And now Maxi preemptively drawn before Black Witch can hit the table, because it's a non-inherent special summon, or inherent rather, so that would not start a chain. But the Called by the Grave this time for the Maxi. Thank goodness we saw Called by Resolve, so we're actually going to have a game. Discarding the Veiler here, so he chose to keep the Ash in the hand instead of ashing the Maxi and having the Called by for another hand trap. Whereas you could have flip-flopped them and then potentially had the Called by, I guess, for a hand trap. So let's see if that actually comes into effect here. But we are going to see the original being activated, sending, and oh, a nice little anti-spell fragrance as well. I think he actually sided 1 copy of every Floodgate, because again, Skill Drain is also at 1. And the Veiler comes down, so the Veiler is going to hit the Snake Eye Ash, and that's actually going to hurt, because now Chia's staring at his hand for the Ash Blossom that could have been the Called by, right? Because we could have used the Ash Blossom on the Max C to negate the Max C. It includes an effect that draws. Then we have the Called by for Veiler. That would have made a huge difference. Instead, he's going to set a card and go Link Removal and pass. Wow. The Skill Drain gets hit by a Harpy's Feather Duster. And now we are going to see a Dark Beckoning Beast be summoned on board to try and add a copy of Opening of the Spirit Gates. And this is just snowball advantage, because Spirit Gates allows you to add another copy of Beckoning Beast or Chaos Summoning Beast. And then you can also discard a card to bring back a Fiend monster with 0 attack from your graveyard, aka any of the YUBEL monsters. So it's a card that does a lot for the deck. So generally you do want to hand trap and hit the Dark Beckoning Beast if you can, because otherwise it just snowballs into multiple summons, right? So this is going to go into Moon, and then Moon is just going to go into Requiem, and it looks like it's tough. I mean, all she has is the Ash in his hand, and that's the last card, which gets hit by a Called by. So Charles's hand was literally like custom made. He had Called by the Grave, Max C, Harpy's Feather Duster, Dark Beckoning Beast. Wow. This hand was just like nuts. So now we're going to bring back the Beckoning Beast by discarding the last card off of Opening the Spirit Gate, so we can go Fiendsmith into Sequence. Sequence is going to resolve and then shuffle back. We've seen this sequence already multiple times, but Lacrima is going to hit the table. Bring back a copy of the Fiendsmith, which will be pitched immediately for the Larry combo off of Tract. this comes back to the field. Just doing a bit of deck thinning. Having Tracked in the Graveyard is nice too, because later on you can actually use it as the engrave effect to polymerization, infuse in hand or on field for a Fiendsmith fusion monster. Now we're going to see the Unchained Yama come out. And it's crazy, because she doesn't have any cards in hand, nothing. But if he literally reversed how he played it and ashed the Max C and had the called by for the Veiler, then this game would actually be different, because he would have full comboed for Snake Eyes, right? That original would have resolved into the Snake Eyes Ash, add Popular, and that was just like all she wrote, right? But instead, we are going to see a very, very powerful YUBEL combo play out, but obviously no point really scooping if you're in the finals. And both of these players are already qualified for Worlds, because first and second do go to Worlds, so you know it's pretty laid back compared to the top 4 match where you really have to life or death in order to go to the World Championship. Looks like we're not going to be able to go for game here. One thing with the YUBELs is it's difficult to put enough damage on game, because a lot of their monsters are 0 attack, right? So being offensive with a blank board is kind of hard sometimes. So just doing some damage. And Chia does have the original still in his graveyard for follow-up, so that's just one thing I think Charles has to be aware of. But he's going to send a copy of Samsara D Lotus off of the Beatrice. So this is one nice thing about the Fiendsmith stuff in YUBELs as well. Just like how you can go into Beatrice, dump a Snake Eye into Princess in the Fiendsmith Snake Eye deck. Well, in the YUBEL deck, you can actually go off into the Muckracker and then use the effect to discard to resurrect the card you dump off of Beatrice, which we see happen exactly here. So Samsara D Lotus will go into the Spirit, set the copy of Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain activates, pop Spirit, add a copy of probably Gruesome Grave Skirmer, yep, and then trigger Spirit in the graveyard, summon out YUBEL. And yeah, this is just like snowballing into multiple bodies, because Gruesome Grave Skirmer comes out, pops the YUBEL. YUBEL gets to summon Terror Incarnate, so we're not losing any advantage here. And then we can link off, use the effect of Gruesome Grave Skirmer in the graveyard again to bring itself back, or bring another Fiend back rather. And then we're going to add back a copy of Opening with Spirit Gates. And now we are just basically, you know, trying to put up as much of a board as we possibly can in main phase 2 with the ideal amount of disruptions. Looks like it's a little difficult. He might have sided out the Unchained Trap as well as potentially the Red Dog, because I don't think he searched an Unchained card. Or did, oh yeah, he searched Shavara. Okay, never mind. But he didn't use the effect to set, so he probably sided out the Unchained Spell card, or the Trap card rather. But we still have Phantom of YUBEL here. And he can also do another Phantom of YUBEL, so it's just like multiple bodies. Phantom's crazy because you can tribute itself for cost. So like an opponent having Imperm, they just have to preemptively Imperm it before doing anything. So it's just like very, very hard to deal with as a card. Gonna see a Link summon here off of the YUBEL plus the Terror Incarnate. Yeah, it's difficult. He's gonna go to SP, but he actually can't because he's Fiend locked. Yeah, Muckracker says you can only summon Fiends for the rest of the turn. So a bit of an oversight here by Charles. Scratching his head a bit, trying to figure out, you know, what the heck is the optimal M board we can do here to disrupt the Snake Eyes follow-up. I mean, we have the Phantom, but what if Chia top decks any extender? You know, like, we need to have another disruption here. We cannot use a Muckracker as a link material because it cannot be used during the turn summon, I believe. So, you know, what can YUBEL really do here? That's the difficult thing, is because if you burn the Fiendsmith engine early to kind of go off into your YUBEL line, it means you're not going to be able to use the Fiendsmith stuff to put up disruptions, whether that's through like Beatrice or through like DDD Wave King Caesar if you happen to play it, or through the Fiendsmith Desiree, which is like the Hot Red Dragon Omni Negate. So it's actually really difficult for him to put up another potential disruption here, especially being Fiend locked. So yeah, I'm not really sure what you could do here as a YUBEL player. What's stopping him from Soul of Rage? Because doesn't he just go into Soul of Rage and then just have Soul of Rage plus the Phantom of YUBEL? But it looks like the judge repaired the game state here, so he might have not been able to actually summon out the Terror Incarnate for whatever reason. So that's just gonna hit the grave again. Oh, I guess the you know what, Unchained Soul of Rage requires an Unchained Soul monster, so it's not just generic. I thought it was generic, so that means yeah, it's obvious he can't do it. So he just passes with Phantom. So now we're going to see Chia top deck for turn. Now use the effect of original, shuffle back the Bellstar, the Black Witch, Asian English. Really nice cards. I love Asian English cards. They have like Starlight copies of cards we do not have. And we see the Snake Eyes being added to the hand. Gonna check the graveyard first, and looks like he actually drew a spell card, but Oak's gonna be summoned, the one that was searched off of the original. And of course, that's gonna prompt a response from Phantom, but Phantom only negating the effect and keeping the, well, changing the effect rather, so not really negating, but keeping the Oak on the table means that we're gonna be able to send it later to summon out Flamberge. We have another card to send, and he actually top decked the Temple. That is a great draw because it gives fodder for Oak to send and also gives you a free extender off of Snake Eyes Bellstar. So, wow. Yeah, it's crazy because Charles basically had the perfect hand except for the fact that he drew Fiendsmith instead of Samsara D Lotus. I think it was reversed, and he actually was able to go off in the YUBEL stuff first. It means that he would have a disruption from the Fiendsmith at the end of the combo, so he would have Phantom plus the Desiree, so that would be 2 and be enough to stop all of this from happening. But instead, the Phantom is just going to be trading off with the Oak effect to try and resurrect Ash, which means that this tempo is going to pass off cleanly, being able to summon out the Snake Eyes Bellstar, and then the Oak just being able to send to summon out the Flamber Dragon. That's going to push YUBEL to the back. Remember, Nightmare Pain does force you to attack YUBEL monsters, so, you know, in case we forget, it's a high-intensity situation. Let's just use the Flambers to push that YUBEL away, just to get rid of it. And, yeah, Charles, he's writing on the wall, that is just going to be game no matter what. So, that's crazy, because his hand was custom-made. Called by the Grave, Maxi, Harpy's Feather Duster, Dark Beckoning Beast. Doesn't get any better than that. So, yeah, really crazy to see. You never know. Don't scoop in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you never know what'll happen, right, guys? All right, guys. Game 3. Chia is on the draw with Charles starting. Wow, that's a pretty good hand. But we're going to see, wow, Maxi gets hit preemptively with an Ash Blossom. I love it. You love to see it, guys. Maxi is literally the one huge choke point blocker that you have to get rid of in the OCG. Like, just playing, you're just on the edge because you're like, oh my gosh, Maxi is going to resolve. In this case, it does not. Dark Beckoning Beast hits the table for opening the Spirit Gates, which then adds the Chaos Summoning Beast. The reason you play the Chaos Summoning Beast is because you can actually go to search it off of Dark Beckoning Beast, but Beast cannot search itself. Nightmare Throne's going to hit play as well to add Samsara D Lotus. That's going to be normal summon in addition, thanks to Dark Beckoning Beast's effect. Summon out the copy of Spirit. Spirit's effect will then activate and set a copy of Nightmare Pain. And then we're going to use the effect of Nightmare Pain to blow something up, I imagine. Yep, the Spirit. Going to add a copy of the gruesome... Oh, Samsara D Lotus. Okay. Now trigger the effect of Spirit of YUBEL. Bring out the YUBEL. I imagine Gruesome Gravestorm was already drawn, which it was. Usually they only play 1 or 2 copies. That's going to blow up the YUBEL. YUBEL's effect. Bring out the copy of Terror Incarnate. And now we are just freely linking into our plays. Just being cautious, I guess, of Nib at this point. But again, Phantom of YUBEL really just negates the existence of Nib by being able to summon it out so early. Yama's going to hit the table, add Shavara. Shavara added to hand, shuffle back Terror Incarnate, shuffle back YUBEL. At the same time, we're putting back resources into our deck to use later on. If we blow up another Spirit of YUBEL, bring out the YUBEL, blow up that YUBEL, bring out that Terror Incarnate, the endless cycle of YUBELs. Now we're going to banish, bring out Spirit of YUBEL, Red Dog, pop the Spirit, and then bring out YUBEL. Yep, don't even need to shuffle the deck, guys. Like, we already know we're going back into YUBEL. Now we're going to link off with Dark Beckoning Beast. Shavara, go into Moon. Shavara's effect, we sided back in the Unchained Trap going first, and I see a lot of traps here. Solemn Judgment, Rivalry as well. Interesting that he's deciding to play not Chamber, but the other one, the one that pops. So now we are going to, yep, you're just going to go off into Moon, into Requiem, into Fiendsmith. And now, because we already have access to our YUBEL engine, we can probably use the Fiendsmith to put up a disruption here. So we're going to bring back the Spirit using the Gruesome Grave Skirmer. Now go into Sequence. Sequence's effect, going to shuffle back 2 Light Fiends to go off into our Lacrima. Yep, choosing not to go off into Desiree. I'm not even sure if he plays it, but we are going to go to Lacrima. Lacrima, adding back the Fiendsmith. Discard, add Lurie. Add Tract into Lurie. Set up the Tract in the graveyard. It's an extender for later, just in case, you know. You never know. You might have to fuse the hard way. Summon out Lurie. Now we are going to link off into something big here. Yep, the Unchained Soul of Rage with the Yama. And I love how Chia is just like not taking time to think, just very calm demeanor. You're putting him on known hand traps, but I actually see some hand traps in his hand. So as this link board continues, we're gonna see the Desiree finally come out. Yeah, that's how they make Desiree, is with the effect of the Tract in the graveyard. But now we're gonna see an Imperm, and Charles Reels knowing what's coming after this Imperm on the Phantom. Yes, we're probably gonna see a Giant Rock here because that was the only reason. Yes, we are going to see, wow, Maxi, Imperm, Nibiru. That was a pretty good hand going second. So he waited until the YUBEL basically made their entire board, which I think was the right approach, because there's no point you can really nib after they bring out Phantom, right? So you just have to wait for them to do their plays. But I'm not sure if this is going to be in an absolute board clear, because again, we do have Nightmare Throne, which says if a YUBEL leaves the field by a card effect, you can actually special summon one back. You can add one to your hand and then special summon it back. So we are going to get the Nib token. And then I imagine we're going to trigger the Nightmare Throne. And we also have the effect of Desiree, which when it's sent, you can shuffle back a Light Fiend to send a card on the field to the graveyard. So we are going to send the Nib, chain the effect of Throne, bring out the YUBEL. And this is not bad, honestly. We still have some plays here. Like, we have some bodies. We can make another Phantom because it's not once per turn for whatever reason. I don't know why, but, you know, ask Konami R&D. So there could still be some interrupts coming out. I don't think she is quite out of the woods. And again, with the measly 2 cards, drawing into 3 to hand. Yeah, it's difficult. The Fiendsmith stuff just makes the decks so powerful. And yep, Phantom's going to just reset itself and summon back to the table. So it's on board for Chia's turn. Yeah, it's tough. And he set 2 back row as well. We still have the Unchained trap as well. So this is really, really tough. I think even to play through after that huge Nib and the Imperm combo, it's just, oh man, Escape of the Unchained is set. That can allow you to target an Unchained monster you control. And we are going to see Muckracker bring back the Unchained Soul of Rage. That's just insane that you can play that much through the board. I guess it's a wise choice to get rid of the Phantom because you would rather have the Unchained Soul of Rage so you can have the Escape live. Poplar's going to be normal summon. This being one of the main starters in the deck now because Snake Eye Ash is at 1, so they do play 3 Poplars. Going to go ahead and probably add a copy of Original, but again, Unchained Soul of Rage plus a set Unknown trap card plus a set Escape. Plus Yama in the graveyard, right? So what you can do is go Escape to pop the Unchained plus another card, add something back with Rage, and then trigger Yama on the same chain, bring back the Rage. Rage can link off into SP Little Knight, banish something. So it's like, you know, it's quite a bit of disruptions, honestly. You're looking at like 4 disruptions, including the SP double banish, plus the pop and the Unchained Soul of Rage being able to link off. Gonna add Original, go Link Reable still not banned in the OCG. Activate Original. Now here, Charles is gonna think. We don't have any cards in hand. There's no Ash. And Ash would have just been huge here. But we don't have that, so what are we thinking about here? You know, like, it's got to be something that can actually interact with this. And it is a Solemn Judgment. So we're actually going to pay half our life points to stop the Snake Eyes from resolving. That's, I mean, it's obviously a huge choke point. It's a very, very, very high impact card. If it resolves, we get Oak, we get Ash. Like, it snowballs into so many bodies, right? So we do have to Solemn that. Okay, Bistio Druisworm being probably the card that was drawn for turn. Target the Yama here just to bring itself out. I don't know if this is going to be enough. Again, we still do have the Unchained Soul of Rage to link off into the SP, Banish, plus the Escape. But this is quite nice that it gets rid of the Yama because it turns off either Escape or it turns off Unchained Soul of Rage because you can only use one or the other. If you use a trap, you have to pop. If you use the Unchained Soul of Rage, then you can't use a trap. So, interesting. But it does say destroy both Unchained, so you might be able to chain both effects. I'm not actually sure what the ruling's on that. But we are going to see Rage come down into the SP, banish the Druisworm, Link Reable's gone for fodder. Last card being Thrust. Thrust, I don't know what you even Thrust for here. Like, it would have to be Talon's Draw? Probably, yeah. We're looking at a Talon's Draw here, which is not ideal. I mean, there's no way you can just go for a Bonfire because Original's already been used. You might have sided out Field Spell plus Snake Eyes Diabell Star anyways, so it's tough. We're still staring down an SP being the last disruption here. I almost feel like Chia's just 1 card short. Like, if he drew the perfect 2 cards, then he actually might have been able to push through everything, to be honest. But he already normal summoned, so it'd have to be like Witch. Oh, I don't even know what he could draw, to be honest. It'd be like Bonfire plus Witch, maybe? I don't know. Okay, so he didn't side out the field. That guy's Diabell. I mean, it's pretty good card in this situation. If we have Witch, actually, well, I guess Witch wouldn't do anything because Original's already gone. You would have to swing past, well, Witch would, because you would swing over the SP in battle phase, and that actually could bring out the Witch and then link off into, well, Fiendsmith doesn't do anything because they don't have Necroquip Princess, so they need 3 bodies. You would have to play Dark. But, oh yeah, the Muckracker also does protect cards by battle. I forgot about that. So he's forced to actually swing over the Muckracker instead of the SP. That actually matters. Yeah, Muckracker says if a monster you control be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you contribute 1 Fiend monster instead, including itself. So, yeah, looks like he didn't even have anything. He's going to have to pass on that. And, yeah, Charles has the Fiendsmith in the graveyard, so this is just game. He's going to summon back out the Fiendsmith and still be able to go off in the sequence and the full combo. Because, again, these guys recycle everything from the graveyard, shuffling back to the extra deck. So you can reuse as many times as you want. Now we're going to equip this so we can pop the Snake Eyes Diabell Star, and that should be over 8k with that huge Nib token. Yeah, just doing some calculations here, and that should be game. And that's going to be game. That's going to be 8k. So this is how YUBEL won the Asian WCQ. Charles is going to represent the World Championship for 2 separate countries. No player has ever done that in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! He went again in 2019 for Australia after winning the Oceanics. And now he's going to go representing Malaysia for the World Championship in 2024. So really, really crazy. I mean, guys, what do you think about this? Let me know your thoughts below about the format in the OCG, the fact that Fiendsmith Snake Eye is still one of the most represented decks. It's crazy, I know, but I love to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.